Good evening, folks. Dawn, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, but I don't think you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. I
Yeah.
guess I better behave then, huh?
Well, sit in the back row. You can do whatever you want as long as Stu Morse is in there.
That's been my life experience.
Yes. 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for attending tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I wonder if we should delay because Charlene is not.
Charlene is joining now.
Oh, good.
She hadn't joined earlier, but she just popped in on the waiting room.
All right. Thank you. Hi, Charlene. Charlene,
She's muted.
can you unmute her or does she
I
have
can
to?
ask her.
See, I can't say bad things about Zoom because I got a mic in front of me.
You can ask her.
Charlene,
Yes,
hi, how you feeling?
I am feeling better.
Oh, I'm glad.
I
She-
I hate computers.
Yeah, she's on.
All right, what should I do? Just continue? You,
Yeah.
you gotta get out of here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, she's
That's
joining
true.
again. You do. She can also call in if she has bad internet. She can
Alright.
call and I can put her on speakerphone.
All right, I'm,
So if you want
okay.
to let her know that.
Charlene, if you have problems, you can call in on your phone and we'll put you on speaker.
I don't know if she's.
I think I'm going to be all set here. I just was trying to close out some little stupid annoying screens that came up. And anyway,
All right,
Hi.
hi, can you hear us okay?
yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Anyway, as you can see from your screen, Diane Miller's there, Donetta Letta, and Karen, and also we have Jeff Gordon with us, and Amy is taking minutes, and Chan is here, and Crystal is hosting. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:02 or whatever time you get down. I'd like to ask the Board of Selectmen to approve the minutes, if we may, from the March 3rd meeting. One of the things I want to mention is we have, before you approve, we have a couple of things on page 2, underneath the ordinance. There was a typo, 3C, I'm sorry, it's 4C. Made a motion to approve the warning of a town meeting on January 18th, 2022. That's incorrect. And the town meeting is actually March 16th. And then also under correspondence number 6, it's Pat Boyd. As much as he likes to be known to his friends as Bad Boyd, he's left that life behind him. So it's Pat Boyd. So other than those two typos, I'd like to ask you for a motion to approve the minutes, please.
I'll
I
make a
so move.
Okay. And second?
second.
Okay, unanimous. Thank you. You have had a copy of the rate, the proposed land use increase in fees, and Jeff's here to answer, and that's why we put it up quick, because he has a meeting in about 25 minutes. But do you have any questions on the land use increases or any concerns?
I don't have any questions or concerns. I just wanted to say thanks to Jeff and the commission for bringing us a little bit closer to up to date. The fees are not out of line. They're not trying to make a killing. They just want to try and cover the cost of such expenses. So
Yep.
I'm pleased with the update and thank you for the time for making this right.
Oh, well, thank you. We've done a lot of work over many years and we've purposely not put any increases in at this point in time. We've actually put some things in to actually make it less financially burdensome.
Okay.
And actually the process easier to follow for townhouse staff. We're actually going to this year, at the end of this year, see exactly how all the fees have been playing out as for another review, just to make certain, for some reason, we're not overcharging or undercharging, but every time we've done a review over years, we've never found that to be the case.
The only question I had, and it's just a note when I was reviewing it, how do we compare with local towns? Do you have any idea, was any research done? And the reason I ask is, when we have fees, I've also said to the building department and others, how do we compare to other towns? Are we in the scope? Are we in the, I don't want to price us out of the market. I don't want anybody to say, well, we can't go to Woodstock because their fees and, do you have any idea how we compare?
Well, I know originally when we made this update many years ago, it hadn't been updated in like 17, 19 years, we were way undercharging.
Okay,
In fact, it was known. And so we've done a number of reviews and see what some other places do for comparable stuff. We weren't out of line. Part of what we're going to do this year is we're kind of proactively, as we go through this year in the CEO's office, keeping track of all of this. So then in early 2023, we can say, okay, what did we do in 2022? And part of that is to see, how do we compare?
Okay.
But we've also helped people because the state charges a $60 fee for like everything. We bundle things together, actually. So if you want to come in as a business and do this, it used to be you paid $60 for that fee, and then for your sign, another $60 that the state would get. We bundled it all together to kind of cut those costs down and the way we've been doing things. And so there's some of that is in here to codify basically what we've been doing.
okay,
But otherwise, we will be basically like a year reporting back as to how these changes are and do we need to do any additional changes and we're aware that we might have to at some point consider upping the fees. But the real fees that people pay are for the staff review that goes to town attorney or engineering
right,
or traffic studies. That gets charged at cost.
okay,
So the town, doesn't have to otherwise absorb that cost. And that was a big help years ago when we made that change because the town was just footing the bill and unnecessarily.
Okay, one of the things I want to mention for not so much the people that are here, but those that may read the minutes later or will review this in the future, is these updates was approved by Planning and Zoning on December 16th. And it also was approved by the town attorney between the 16th and the present date, I believe. Or was it prior to the 16th?
It was prior to 16th.
Okay.
He was actually, I believe, at the meeting.
Okay,
So we've had him involved in this process.
right,
And then when we had our final meeting on the 16th, we had staff input. So it was Delia Fay, Ashley Stevens provided input. And also we had leftover input from Tina LaJoy when she was CEO.
okay,
And Rich Roberts did weigh in
good,
to let us know that,
Okay.
okay, these are things that you can do, these are things you can't do. And so he did review it all, and he was part of the meeting when we approved it.
okay, all right, good,
As a contractor, I do business in a lot of different towns, and I've never found Woodstock to be above and beyond the average charge. And I have seen other towns where they have kind of overstepped that bound. So thanks to you and your committee.
No, thank you, because we make it very clear that if we are actually overcharging unnecessarily, then we do not want to do that. So that's why we do these reviews every now and then to see actually how it's working.
okay,
Because if we're undercharging, it's not fair to the public,
right,
pays for things, but also if we're overcharging, it's not fair to people. And so we'll see in a year exactly where this pans out, but our assessment for last year was we weren't overcharging.
okay.
I've experienced it personally and always felt Woodstock was more than fair.
That's good to hear, thank you.
Normally, we go to public questions near the end of the meeting, but because Jeff has to go to another meeting shortly, is there any questions regarding the proposed updates to land use fees? No? Okay, well, I'll thank you. And Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And if this were to hopefully go to some town meeting, let us know.
I can't give you the date because I can't think of it right now, but we will be including this as part of a town meeting where we normally do it for the budget. later on. No?
But it's gonna be after.
After the budget, okay. But yeah, it will be going to a town meeting for approval. But again, we're going through, it's been approved by planning and zoning, all the folks, town attorney, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going through the process, so it will go to town meeting at some point. All right.
All right, well, let us know
Thanks.
if it can go this year. That will be great.
Oh, I'm hopeful.
That'll be
Oh,
good.
Yeah,
I don't see.
yeah,
And one thing I
Yes.
forgot to mention is, that's gonna help you guys on Board of Selectmen is, we actually put a provision in that is, Rich did say is legal to do, which is planning and zoning can actually vote to waive certain fees. Like if somehow we double charge someone and we have to refund, we've never had the authority to do it. It's always had to come to you guys. So one of the suggestions was, well, why can't planning and zoning do it? Many other planning and zoning commissions do. So that's where that wording came from.
Okay.
so it's not members of the Board of Selectmen are waived the fees.
It would now, it would, in this ordinance.
I'm looking
change, it would
out for
be
you.
Planning and zoning.
Well, and that's how it should be.
Okay,
Yeah, because a lot of other commissions will do that. And so the wording that we have in here is actually wording that's been vetted by Rich that other towns use. And
okay,
that's where we came up with that wording.
good. All right,
Great,
thank you.
thank you. Good to see you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon.
Good one.
Okay, Karen, if we could move on, update on American Rescue Plan, please.
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'd like to do tonight is just kind of reiterate what has been going on over the last couple of meetings for people who may have not been following, or just to kind of do an overview really quickly. So first of all, I just again want to state that the American Rescue Act plan, the final rule was approved by the U.S. Treasury on January 6th of this year. It becomes effective April 1st. However, for those municipalities or recipients who wish to use the final rule, guidelines can do so now without any type of a penalty. The other thing that I wanted to mention was with the final rule, there's a little bit broader guidelines. It's supposed to make things easier. And I just, again, want to state the uses of these funds that are allowed. There's 5 different categories. One is responding to the public health emergency. 2 is revenue loss recovery, premium pay for emergency response workers, water and sewer infrastructure, and broadband. And of course, within those categories, there are, numerous projects and ideas of things that can be used. On January 20th, your board had approved a plan and also elected to use the revenue loss recovery standard allowance. That just means that all the money that we are getting, which is approximately 2.3 million, will be used under the category of revenue loss, and we will be using those funds for general government services. Let's see. Also, we went to the Board of Finance and asked for their approval for the spending. They did accept the plan that the Board of Selectmen put through on February 8th at the Board of Finance meeting. However, our auditor has asked that the Board of Finance actually approve the funds. So at their next meeting on March 22nd, we will be having them approve the actual funding of $1,080,000 for phase 1 of the American Rescue Plan that your board has approved. Also, we really haven't received any other updates from, residents here in Woodstock. We did get an email from the owner of Taylor Brook Winery, again, expressing her concern of asking for funding and how the town should, contribute to businesses. I did ask her to attend this meeting this evening so she could express her concerns. I don't think she's here, but other than that, huh?
She is here. She is here.
Linda Ozier?
She just arrived.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, no, you had invited her, but you said 7:15, so that's why she came in.
I don't remember saying that.
I'm being.
I said 7. Usually I say 7 o'clock or the minutes. However, hi, Linda. Thank you for coming. So Linda actually reached out to me with some information from the Willimantic Wyndham area I believe if I'm not mistaken, they are I shouldn't say donating, I take that back. They are obligating 1 million of their funding to help local businesses up to 20,000. They are coming up with a process for an application, which is something that we are working on. We don't have an official application at this time, so we're asking people who do request for now to send a proposal to the ARPA email address for review by your board. And I did ask Linda if, she could attend, and I will let her speak, and then I can finish, or I can finish and then she can speak. What would you prefer, Linda?
Linda said you could finish if you wish.
Okay, so basically she's here tonight on behalf of her business, and I told her to bring her concerns to your board. But other than that, phase 1 is in the works. We are halfway through our HVAC upgrade at the town hall. The radios and the Scott's breathing apparatus for Bungie are on order. Parts for Muddy Brook project are on order. I spoke with John Navarro. The Lebanon Hill Road project is hopefully going to start this late spring or early summer. And other than that, to date, we've spent $56,046 towards some of these projects. I don't know if you want a breakdown of the expenditures, but I do have that. Does anybody want an actual breakdown?
I don't think we have to do that.
Okay.
I mean, thank you, but I don't think it's necessary.
All right. So again, when we get the second tranche of money, which should be coming in June of 2022, then I guess your board can start considering ideas for phase 2.
Okay.
And basically that's all I have for now. If anybody has any questions, let me know. If not, then Linda, you got the floor.
Linda, do you want to come up and,
Sure.
why am I yelling? Sit here because the mic is here. And we'll turn the, look at that, turn the camera, there you go.
Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen a mic like that. Well, Karen, you actually answered one of my questions, which was how would, like, for instance, when I saw in the last minutes that I had requested funding, I sort of did. I mean, that's obviously what I was driving at, but what I had sent in was an email asking that the Board of Selectmen consider a percentage. I didn't even indicate what the percentage might be.
Right.
A percentage for businesses that were adversely affected in this town. And so I was asking on behalf of myself, but I was also asking on behalf of the Woodstock Business Association and our member businesses that might have been adversely affected. And so that was my first email. My second email was what had come through from the town of Wyndham. It was a newsletter from the chamber. And I thought, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I was talking about. So then the next was, what is the process? So, I'm in the minutes as having asked, but I really didn't because I don't know what the process is.
Well, you and I have talked about this over the last year or so.
Right.
So I'm aware of what the issues are. And the thing is, we don't have a application per se.
Okay.
Why am I talking loud and look at the screen? Anyway, we don't have an application per se. What asking people to do is write a proposal
Okay.
and with specifics.
Okay.
And we have a dedicated email address that people can send stuff in. We monitor it 2-3 times a week. But I think that's what it is. And then all of those things in phase 2 are going to be considered and
Okay.
looking at, what's going on.
Okay.
So.
If I may speak for a moment, yeah, I did get one, Linda. I did get a request from you not too far back. You had mentioned that one of your members of I thought it was Woodstock Agriculture, Rebecca Hyde, mentioned the town was, had received funding, and then you had reached out to and asked if we would be doing anything. So that was a while back. This has really been this has really been a very long, daunting process for the past year. Most of us are really not 100% familiar. We've been learning, trying to make sure that we get this right so that we are able to spend the money where Woodstock's, I guess you would say the community as a whole gets the majority of the funding that could benefit the community as a whole. I think one of the struggles that we have is understanding when we issue money to businesses, what the ramifications are for the town as far as reporting and things of that nature. So we're still in the learning process. And that's why we've kind of been holding off towards a second phase to get to learn a little bit more on how we are going to have to report when we give money out. One thing I did learn is if we do decide to offer grants or things of that nature, the term is actually now called a beneficiary. So you would not be considered a subrecipient. You'd be a beneficiary with hopes that the money would be a grant not having to be paid back. But we still have a lot of reporting requirements. My department and Crystal, we're getting ready to take some webinars to learn about the reporting sector, which is due in April. And I think once we get through that actual first report, it's going to really open us up to the do's and don'ts. So, you know, as we go through this, it's not going to happen today or tomorrow. We do have until 2024 to obligate the funding. You know, and we're just asking people to also allow us the time to really learn how to make sure we're administering these funds correctly.
And that was, this has changed like 3 times in the process where it was going to be a grant. And then it was like going to be a grant, but we have to report. So as Karen mentioned, was subrecipient, now it's more of a grant, but we are responsible to the state and the Treasury Department to report on how you spent the money. So we have to be part of that process. And again, when is your, Karen, when is the webinar that you're going to? Is it next Thursday?
Diane, Crystal, and I took one last week. We learned a lot about, that's what I was talking about. We learned a lot about what a subrecipient versus a beneficiary was. And we're actually taking a webinar this upcoming Monday on the reporting process. There's going to be several webinars coming up, so that way, hopefully we'll be able to learn the correct way to do this. But part of the biggest problem is making sure that if we do give money or grants, that the people that receive them are utilizing them correctly, or the town's responsible if somebody misuses it. And so that's the biggest thing that I really want to learn more of, have more time to really wrap our finger around and be able to provide accurate information to the board and to people that are interested in requesting funding. Again, I can tell you that this past week, I received 3 separate emails from the US Treasury, and each time what they sent me was a corrected version. So it makes it very confusing that when I start to read something and think I'm getting the hang of it, and then all of a sudden that same day I get 2 more corrected versions. We're like on version 3 of reporting, and each version is 50 to 100 pages. So it's been really a lot. This is our budget season as well. So, you know, a lot of my priorities are on that effort. So we're just working through it the best we can. We're trying to provide the most updated information. We're taking webinars, we're reading, we're asking questions to our auditors and some people up at OPM, because the state acts as a pass-through. So I know that, you know, helping our community is definitely something that's beneficial to our community. It's just we need a little more time to really wrap our fingers around how this is going to work.
In reality, you deal with the feds, and they came up with this wonderful idea, American Rescue Plan. They didn't even know how to administer it, how they were going to do it. And we keep getting these updates more than, you know, a couple times a week, we get these. And it's like, can you guys make up your mind on what we're supposed to, just let us know? But this is the problem that
No,
we're dealing
I
with.
understand,
So,
because I went through the same thing with PPP. You know, that
Yeah.
changed minute by minute. And if I'd waited, I was afraid to wait because it sounded like there wasn't going to be any more money. And if I did, I could have added, I could have done something a little differently and asked for more. But, you know, I got what I got, and I was grateful for it. But I think part of it, and I think that's what this is all about too, is that, you know, unfortunately, the need is immediate. And yet, you know, and so everyone is like, well, you got to do something, government, you got to do something, government, and they come up with a program, but there's not just was never enough time to go through all that. So they're doing it as you go, which of course makes it all the more difficult for you. So I don't think there's, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. I've already been through it. And I get why it was that way, because otherwise everybody'd be up in arms and saying, well, why don't you have a program?
Yeah.
We need this now. We don't need it. No offense in 2020, you know, I probably will still need it in 2024, but I hope I don't have to wait that long. So it is it's a very stressful process. So, you know, I thank you. But I didn't want the businesses, and mine in particular, to, you know, not be remembered, because that was like the second bullet item in that program, was businesses adversely affected, particularly hospitality and tourism, which is what we fall under. So, all right, I will put my proposal together. Thank
And
you.
Linda, we will keep trying to update as much as we can on our website. And again, feel free to email me or call me if you have questions. You know, I personally am in favor of supporting our local businesses. I do understand that a lot of communities received a lot more funds than the town. And I think out of the 2.3 million, we've already committed over $1 million. So we've already consumed almost half of our funding, and it's basically all public safety. And I can also tell you that we have, since the Board of Selectmen approved their plan for phase 1 in January, I have received several very expensive proposals from the Woodstock volunteers. They're looking for an ambulance, which I believe is over $300,000. You know, so the Board of Selectmen have a lot of consideration to do on how to best use these funds. It's tough. You know, we all think 2.3 million is a lot, but for a town, it's really not. And we just got to learn more on what we can do. I'll be honest, I did speak with our auditor about giving, you know, grants to businesses, and he advised us to follow the U.S. Treasury's payroll protection plan, and I really don't know much about that. So that's another thing that we have to really look into before we can start, you know, giving money to the local businesses.
I'll just say to Linda, stay in touch with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you haven't been forgotten.
well,
No.
no, I just, well, it is, and it may not just be me. I don't want to make that assumption. On the
No,
other
no.
hand, you know, and I don't know if there's been any reach out to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been to the business. But on the other hand,
There have been others that
They-
have been in touch.
There has been one
Yes.
other in Woodstock that has
Yeah.
reached out. There's been one other. We did also have the Tolland 4-H camp reach out to us. They have a dam issue that needs to be repaired, or they're going to lose their pond. And, you know, several children from Woodstock attend that camp on a tuition basis. But, you know, those, again, are things that the selectmen are going to have to consider when they're working on the plan. And the other thing that I just want everybody to be aware of, and I mentioned it earlier, I think before you came in, you know, per our auditor, the Board of Selectmen are the ones that, after getting the public input, need to put a plan in place and approve it. But the Board of Finance also has to approve the funding. So it does go through a couple sets of approvals before, you know, things actually get expended.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
All right, well, that was the
thank
part I-
you, and
yeah.
good to see you.
You don't mind if I leave?
No.
This is exciting.
Well, no, but the other thing, I do the best I can. I'm not there every weekend, but I try to support you.
Oh, well, thank you, Jay.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, Linda.
Does anybody else have do you have any questions of what I've gone over?
I'm sorry, on ARPA, any Diane or Megan or Dawn or Charlene, anybody questions on ARPA? No? Okay, we're gonna spring Karen. Karen, thank you again for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you very much. Have a great
Take
night.
care. You too.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this is how we live.
I didn't know what meeting it was. I didn't realize you met up here.
Oh, yeah, the second meeting of the month, we're here because we're on Zoom. So, okay.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Okay, on number 5, we have termination of tennis agreement with Woodstock Academy. I'll give you a little history. This is primarily for Charlene, and you may remember this. Anyway, you do? Okay. Anyway, there was an agreement between Mike Alberts and Brad Favreau. And the history with this is the academy used to use the town tennis courts, which is over by the middle school. And as a constable, when I was doing athletics next door at the Bentley, buses would come in, they'd drop students off, tennis players, to be playing at the academy courts. And then that was for doubles. And then the singles would go over to our courts. So the academy has had problems with their courts over at Bentley. We closed our courts. In fact, I think it was last year, I asked, they were unsafe. I went to look at them. People wanted to use them, and I didn't want I didn't want people injured. So we put a sign on it saying closed, and we locked up the courts. So we went back, and I found this agreement between the academy and the town. It was signed February of 2019, and I won't go through the details. It was a 2-page detailed agreement. And what I did was, nothing has happened with the agreement. Part of it was COVID, part of it's financial, part of it's whatever you want to add to it. So what I did is we have a letter that's going to the headmaster, and I called him yesterday, and we have a good working relationship. And I said, Chris, this agreement, I said, I'm pulling a plug on. Nothing's happened with it. And he was fine. And he was very much in agreement. He understood. So we're fine on that. I've been talking to Aaron and John about doing something with that, because I've had a number of parents, some I know, some that I haven't, that have approached me and said, you know, we're over COVID. The weather's getting nice. I would like to teach my daughters how to play tennis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently the courts down at Bentley are not available to the public because of some issues. And it's not the academy. I believe that there's problems with the courts themselves. So we're in the process of looking at repairing and opening our courts, if you will, for Woodstock citizens to use. John is in the process of getting some quotes from various companies. We had already purchased some materials towards that in 2019. Those will be putting up. That was fencing. So we're moving along. I'm personally hopeful we'll get those squared away this summer, so that maybe July or August they'll be available. And that's where we're at. So we're out of the agreement. We're out of our responsibility to the academy. And I think that we will, at the end of this year in phase 1, even though we're dealing with primarily emergency services and that sort of thing, we will have enough ARPA funds to commit to this. So my dream, if you will, is by August or before, we will have 2 courts available to the general public of Woodstock.
Jay, could you tell me what the issues are besides fencing?
The cracks. There's I was over there, and there's cracks in the surface and there's grass growing up through. And we've had people that have gone over there and pulled the weeds and this sort of thing. But the thing is, if I'm teaching a child, or even if any of us were playing tennis together, I'm looking at you, or I'm looking at the ball. I'm not looking down. And it's not safe. And that's why I locked them up. I think it was last summer. and there was a sign put up, closed. And so we were done with it, but we're revisiting it because I've had a number of parents approach me, but it's not safe. So I think it's a matter of resurfacing and fencing and poles, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So,
They're gonna hopefully put pickleball lines on it as well.
and the other thing is apparently pickleball, which is extremely popular. And I know there's men's league at the Y in Putnam because I have friends that play in it. Apparently it came north from Florida. It's for the old jocks that want to still be active. So we are talking to Aaron Lucas about having it painted in such a way that there would be lines there for tennis, but also lines there for pickleball.
Good.
So when, Shannon and I get together to play pickleball on Tuesday afternoons, the lines will be there. So it's something that would expand the use and type of thing. So
Well,
anyway,
if you and Chan do that, remember, we have to warn that as a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
we won't talk. Actually, that's a caucus.
Oh, is
They
that-
They
Okay,
used to call it a team. If you join us, then we have to warn. But if Chan and
okay.
that's it. Then we have to warn. But if Chan and I, we call it a caucus, not a team.
Okay,
Okay. What? So I'm going to ask for a motion. Well, I've already done it, but I'm going to ask for a motion to agree to my termination of this agreement and move forward with plans for development of the town courts.
So moved.
second,
Thank you. So unanimous. Okay, next we have tax rebates. Nick DeFeo for $203.70. He sold the vehicle in November of 2020. I'm sorry, I'm smiling, but anyway, the town of Woodstock General Fund, the amount of $3.40. It's unclaimed refund over 3 years. So if you don't claim your refund, we keep the money. So $3.40. And then the third one is VW Credit Leasing, $68.72 for a leased vehicle that was sold in July of 2021. So could I hear a motion on those three?
I so move.
Second, unanimous. Thank you. Let that be a lesson to all of us. If you got a refund, get it. Otherwise, it goes back to the town. Okay, letters, correspondence. A lot of times I get calls and complaints and whining from various people, but I got a letter. Actually, I got access to a letter. I'm going to read it to you. This is from, actually, I'm not going to mention the lady's name because I don't think she thought it would come up at a Board of Selectmen's meeting. But this is to our building inspector, Paul. And it says, "Hi, Paul. Having you by our side last week was an absolute blessing. To know that you care about people in this town and the work you do makes you one of Woodstock's hidden gems. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they show up in town trucks wearing a logo jacket and ensure that contractors do what's right." And then she goes on to talk about a roofing company didn't complete a job. They didn't replace some flashing, et cetera, et cetera. And this was supposed to happen back in December, and there were still problems. But anyway, Paul took care of it. So she kind of went on. But I wanted this in a record. In fact, I gave it to Crystal, and I said, please put it in his personnel record, because, as I said, we get complaints all the time, but somebody took the time to send him a letter saying thank you. And by you doing your job, you helped us out. So I just wanted to mention that.
Well done, Paul.
Absolutely. Let's see. I have the State Police Troop D. This is correspondence, and this is from dated March 7th, and it's the February calls that they had. There were 6 accidents, 7 investigations, 2 burglaries, no larcenies, non-reportable matters, 86, which is, those are always high every month. We had no DUIs. We had 2 traffic citations, 1 written warning. We have, let's see, Freedom of Information Act workshop presented by Tom Hennick, who's the public education officer. We deal with him a couple times a week, frankly. And this will be on our website and on our Facebook page. This is Tuesday, March 22nd from 6 to 7, and it's going to be at the Thompson Town Hall. And it's a 15-person minimum. This is going to be shared, I believe, Crystal, with all of the boards and commissions.
I've already sent it to all the chairs.
Okay, so all the chairs have received it. This is something that they have to be aware of because it's become a big issue, not for us, but nationwide, freedom of information. We also, and Charlene, you haven't seen this, but I'm going to read it because you're not with us. You and I and Chan were invited to an Eagle Court of Honor for 2 gentlemen, Mr. Driscoll and Mr. Pendleton. And it's going to be on Sunday, May 1st, 2 p.m. And it's going to be at the Hillside Amphitheater at Roseland Park in Woodstock. But they wanted to invite all 3 of us, where these gentlemen will be awarded their Eagle medal. And as I've said in the past, less than 3% of people that go through Scouts achieve Eagles. So it's big for these gentlemen and for this troop. So they'd like to invite us to attend. Yeah, and we do have to RSVP, but Charlene, it's in your folder. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Let's see, Woodstock Seniors, this is the rec department. They're doing, Woodstock Rec wants their input, and they have kind of an open house meeting on March 23rd at 1 o'clock. It's a Wednesday. Town Hall, lower level meeting room. And it's just coffee, and they want to know what seniors want. What are their interests? How can our rec department help them meet their needs? And it could be trips to entertainment and sporting, guest lectures, exercise classes, gardening, cookings, movies, crafts, dancing. So at least Erin, again, is putting out the information. We're coming out of COVID. I know that, a lot of folks are trying to get out of the house and get more active, which again goes back to our tennis courts. There's also a senior rec program survey that's going out. What else do we have? We have Woodstock Rec Department and Woodstock Conservation presenting a team cleanup Woodstock Sunday, April 10th. It's from a grant from the Last Green Valley. This will be on our website, on our Facebook page, what to wear, where they're going to be doing, what they're going to be doing, and this sort of thing. And there's a way to sign up. On the road again, this is the for the 40th anniversary, we're doing the Memorial Day road race. A lot of advertising going out, and registration is posted again, website. Erin's got some beautiful posters that I've seen. She had printed at the Center of Hope. So it's kind of a big kickoff thing. We're trying to get this going. We're also doing the Memorial Day parade after a 2-year hiatus. Okay, what else have I got? Yeah, where is that? We have,
The flyer's not made yet, but I think the information's on your.
okay, let's see. Oh, this is very important. Leah Shad, who is our probate judge for Northeast Connecticut. She's been to a couple of our meetings here, and she's really doing outreach in Northeast Connecticut. Anyway, she's going to do an informational session here at the town hall on May 18th. And we're going to be getting more information up about that. The other issue with that is a lot of folks don't know what probate is, what it does, until unfortunately a family member dies. And then it kind of fits, it hits the fan. And it's like, who do we call? What do we do? So Leah and her staff are going to be going to the various towns and giving information just to get people thinking ahead of time on what to do, when there's a loss in the family. Probate also is with other issues. You may have a family member that becomes disabled, through an accident, an incident, whatever. So they're going to be available to answer questions and follow up. So I think that's very, very important.
What date is that, Jay?
That will be on May 18th, but more information to follow. 10:30 to noon. Okay. And again, it's down the road a little bit, but we'll be getting information out. Also in April, we will be doing selective bargaining on a contract with the Teamsters. And we're firming up dates, and the Board of Selectmen will be invited to attend. Hopefully you can. Trying to think of what else. I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay, that's it for correspondence and announcements. Public comments or questions? Dawn or Diane or Megan or anyone? Do we have anybody on the phone? No?
Nothing from me.
Okay. I appreciate your attendance. Megan,
you.
always a pleasure. I don't know if you can hear me, but and Diane, as usual. Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Can I just bring up one thing quickly?
You certainly may.
All right. I also got a copy of the letter that Reverend James Harrison sent about the marker that has disappeared.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that you had received it, and also whether or not you would have been able to craft a response or not. He only sent it to me, I'm sure, because I was on the exhibit committee all those years ago.
I received it also.
I think there's some confusion about where the resources went. They should have gone to the Historical Society, from what I can figure. I don't know where the information is about these actual markers, what they said, how much they cost, who installed them, or any of that stuff. So if you don't have time, you'd like me to try to track down a little bit of this stuff, I would be glad to do so. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there.
I did, Charlene, I did receive a copy of the letter, and I think you did also. Yeah, all three of us did. And he was involved with that. Now, my understanding from the letter is that there was money after this went over from the 300th anniversary, I believe. Is that correct? Okay, that money was donated to the Historical Society. Apparently, that money no longer exists. So it's not like they had it in a designated fund. The other thing is, there were a number of signs that were placed around town from a particular manufacturer, which is no longer in business. Some of those signs are still around. That one was specific. Now, the other signs that I'm aware of talk about the Connecticut Trail. And that
Yeah.
was where the folks came down from Roxbury and they followed Connecticut Trail, which were Indian trails back in the 14, 15, and 1600s. This particular one, in fact, I wish the individuals had taken the post because the post is still there, but the sign itself is gone. Now, whether or not it ended up in a dorm room or ended up getting sold for scrap, we have no idea. But I know that Jamie was part of the committee that did this and was kind of upset to realize that, it's gone. So yeah, if I may call you and say, if you want to follow up, this is okay, because some of the research I had done, there's not a lot of answers. And I was told that the money is gone. I was told that the manufacturer of these signs no longer exists. And I don't know unless somebody wrote a copy of what the actual sign said. I don't know. And the other thing is to replace it, I'm not sure if somebody would have to do a fundraiser or something. I don't know. So I may call you.
Okay, I'm glad to help out if I can. It was 35 years ago, and you'd like to think that some of these records persisted, but, and yes, Jamie Harrison was the chairman of that town committee for that period of time. And the group did a tremendous amount of work. But when you dissolve something like that, it makes perfect sense what you're doing to make sure records go here and funds go there and all that kind of stuff. And now we are 35 years down the road and couldn't put our fingers on it if we needed to. So I'll be glad to do whatever I can anyway.
All right, I'll be calling you to ask and we can chat about it.
Okay,
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, may I speak?
You may.
Thank you. I had a concern about the safety of the traffic along 169 in front of the middle school. There are signs there, but there are no painted lines in front of the middle school or between the South Campus and the cafeteria. I spoke to the head constable yesterday. The head constable, and he told me that he would look into it, but he suggested I call Pat Boyd, which I did today, and he's going to contact the Department of Transportation tomorrow to see why those marks were not painted again at the crosswalks. The road was paved back in the fall, and there was probably no reason that they couldn't have been repainted. There are 4 crosswalks there, and he indicated that's a big safety issue because kids don't always pay attention to crossing the road there. They just assume that they can cross between the middle school and the auditorium, or the students from the Woodstock Academy crossing the roads there. So I hope that that would be taken care of before there's an accident there or something like that, or somebody being hit, because people drive through there constantly and probably at a higher rate of speed than they ought to be. But I would like that looked into, and Pat indicated that he would do that. Pat Boyd indicated he would do that.
Yeah, Pat's very responsive. The other thing, Diane, is there was an incident over at Pomfret School a couple of years ago. Because of that incident, Hyde School installed at those crosswalks, there are stanchions that go in the road. At the crosswalks, there's a stanchion, and it's colored, I don't know, fluorescent green or something, sits in the middle of the road. So as you're approaching, there's a blinking light from both ends that says caution, school zone, and I think it's 20 miles an hour. But each of those crosswalks is marked with a stanchion that tells you there's a crosswalk there. I understand about your concern about the painting the lines, but again, there should be a stanchion there at all 4 of those.
The stanchion should be in the middle of the road?
Yes, it's on the double yellow line. It's a plastic. It's a plastic stanchion. It's about 3 or 4 feet high. I believe it says crosswalk, slow, something like that.
It wasn't there today when I drove by.
Okay. maybe I'll drive down for the heck of it and just check it out, because I've worked those crosswalks. And,
I understand.
and they've always had it. But again, seriously, because there was an incident at Pomfret School and a student was clipped, Pomfret School all of a sudden put these stanchions out. And because of that incident, Hyde School put them out also. And it's made a big difference.
Well, if you could check on it or see where it could go, that they were properly painted in the road.
Yep. See, the problem was with a driver, you don't see that the kids, the pedestrians will see the painted stuff, so they'll know where to cross. But the drivers don't see the painted. They'll see the crosswalk, or they'll see a sign that says pedestrian crossing, that sort of thing. So I don't think it's going to make that difference. It should be there for the students, not necessarily for the drivers, because the drivers wouldn't see it.
I
But
understand that.
We'll check into it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else from anyone? Anybody in the room?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a
Second.
second? A second. Okay, unanimous. Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it. And have a good weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.